But the reality is we're human, and when we're on social media and we're only seeing the highlight reel, when something human pops up, something relatable, something vulnerable, that builds trust.
Then what I have to do is offer them something that has a high enough perceived value to overcome their desire to not get pitched or spammed or bothered or annoyed.
I have to go on a gut level first and foremost. What sales mean?
How do we take some of the repetitive, quote unquote, bureaucratic tasks out of the hands of the rep and automate those to free up time for them to spend selling?
How can we create a place where it's positive, where there's nothing but motivation, education, and inspiration? And how can we do it consistently?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the Digital Selling Secrets podcast. On this podcast, we talk about sales, leadership, and digital transformation. And we have another very special guest this morning. We have Stephen Bivens. And first of all, Stephen, I'd like to thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's Bivens. Everyone gets tricked up my last name. It's all right, though. But you got the first one. I usually get Stephen. So appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, glad you could join the podcast. Now, I've seen your profile. We've talked a little bit, but I don't want to steal your thunder. So if you can, just say a little bit, if you share with the audience a little bit about yourself and a little bit about, what your company does.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, I live right outside New York City. We have as I describe it, kind of head to tail agency. We can design a product. We can manufacture it or source it, depending on your needs. We have warehousing in the States. We can, QA it based on your factory. We have an office in LA, New York, and Yiwu, China. So, we're very nimble in wherever your product's coming from, because, a lot of it's, still in China. We have some things going on in the States as well, now that kind of things are starting back up here again, and able to source those and find the right manufacturer for your product. And it's a streamlined process instead of having to go through like 6 or so people on Alibaba, or, a kind of a wholesaler or sourcing agent that's going to both, one, mark up your product, and two, make it a long time to actually see what it's going to look like. So we can get all that done. And then we have warehousing and order fulfillment here in the States. So it's especially now with so much going to e-com, and that's a huge portion of our client base, be able to handle that. But we also have product in Target, CVS, Rainbow, a lot of B2B type of things as well.
Great. Yeah, it sounds like you're very well connected. I mean, Target, those are big companies that you just mentioned there. So it sounds like, our audience on the Digital Selling Secrets podcast are typically B2B sales professionals or B2B business owners, or they could be executives within these businesses. So from what you described, it sounds like if let's say it's a B2B sales professional, if they want to do a side hustle and have a side business and not tie up a lot of time, potentially they could work with a company like yours. Or if it's a bigger company and they have a particular initiative and they want to source a product, and from start to finish, they could work with you on that particular initiative. Or if they're a small business owner, they could reach out to you to help with some of the products they have going. So it's almost like having a team where you do all the work for them for the most part. They just have to come up with an idea. Is that right? Or
right. So to kind of give you a little history, basically the timeline you just walked through was the timeline that I went through as well. At first, we very much started out going and hunting down large accounts, large companies. We first started doing a lot of garments, and I was in the fashion district all the time, knocking on doors to start it out, and hunting down like one project that a certain fashion house was fulfilling for, maybe it was a larger retailer or something like that, TJ Maxx, for instance. We did, and I hated it because I left a finance field fulfilling these large accounts and doing actionable things that didn't feel very good, in the sense that I felt like a very much cog in the machine. I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs and things like that started their own, leaving that feeling. And so what's been great is being able to lower the barrier of entry for exactly what you said. People who want a side hustle or have an idea and just a little bit of startup cash. That's what we are able to feed into the machine that we built, and really be that that team and allow them to punch above their weight, if you will, and fulfill that kind of business in a much, whether they're starting it or they're ready to take a bigger leap, we're able to move up that timetable, keep it lean.
Yeah, and you have international connections. You mentioned China earlier. You have big distributors or retailers that you're connected with, from the sounds of it. What are some of the typical products that you would work with? Give us some ideas where people have come to you with their ideas and say, "Hey, can you help me turn this into reality?" What are some of the products that you typically look at?
Absolutely. So, we first started out very much kind of garment based and built out from there to where now, if so long as you don't ingest it, is pretty much what I say. We kind of stay away from vitamins, supplements, things like that. There's a lot of hoops you got to jump through to get those ready for market and approved. So long as it's not that, we either can do it, or I'll refer you to someone who's very good at doing it. Some like really, really high-end electronics. Maybe I can hook you with someone up, the right person. But other than that, I have someone, let's use some examples, who just wanted to start a tailored brand for unisex items. And there isn't necessarily something that he saw. He had a lot of experience in this field, but didn't see anything on market out there the way he wanted it. So he just came to him and said, "Look, this is kind of my idea. What would it look like?" And it can start from there. If someone not even really knowing exactly what it is that they want, just kind of an idea on a napkin, if you will, and we can start building from there. We can find you the right person who deals in that, who produces that. Examples of, if we haven't done it already, something similar to that. So we really try to make it that the lowest hurdle possible, to where you have just a little bit of startup cash, an idea, and the will to make it, to want to see it succeed, and we're willing to get behind that.
How about highly technical products? So like, I have a lot of experience in commercial air conditioning. So
Hmm.
it's just an example, but let's say somebody came to you and said, "Hey, I want to design an air conditioning system," or, or some other, maybe it's a medical. I know Jerry's not able to be with us here today. His kid has taken the SAT, but
Good luck to him.
yeah, but Jerry's involved in the medical space. I mean, what if somebody came to you and said, "Hey, I want to design a respirator system." Sorry, Jerry, if it's probably not saying that right. But so what about those highly technical products? You get involved in that much, or is it?
Yeah, so absolutely, especially during what we saw earlier this year with the coronavirus, people almost needing to be somehow involved in possibly either masks or respirators or something, in some cases, to have cash flow, to stay in business and not have to shut down. We're able to, have a large association of expertise. And so we can get on a call and bring a client to someone who knows what they're talking about, who has experience in those fields. We have a large, I don't want to call them like this, but stable, of people who are working in those fields constantly, and we'll collaborate with them on a certain project if it's a high level of technical detail that, someone can't afford there to be a problem. You mentioned, air conditioner, I believe. You can't afford to have a whole production line of something go down with some kind of flaw. It has to be airtight. And so we definitely source, just as much as we source products, we source experts to make sure that what we're fulfilling for them is going to be what they need and it's going to work. Because we very much wanted to change it from not having customers to having long-term clients. Instead of just finding the one product someone's looking for, we want to build their business, because we want them to be so successful, they're going to start another, brand or line or completely different niche that they're going into, different industry that they want to be involved in. And we want to be for that too. We want to be there as well.
Absolutely. And so what's the timeline typically look like for something like that? If they had let's say, because I know a lot of our audience, they're in technical fields, and some of them, maybe they're in a technical field, but they want to do something else that maybe they just need a minimum viable product to get started. But what's the timeline look like from the time they approach you with an idea to the time that their product is sitting in a store or being sold by another business?
Sure. I mean, that's an answer that I need a crystal ball for, depending on who it was. The turnaround can be super quick, or maybe sometimes it needs to be longer. Something that definitely needs to be tested, needs to go through approval. That's obviously going to be longer. To use a short example, I've had someone who in no way was connected to the cosmetics industry, that they're like, this is something I want to build now, so that my children will have, a kind of starting off business to learn how to run a business. So we want to build that together. And so we got something with cosmetics and in the CBD kind of genre of products. And we built that very quickly. They were able to have, a Shopify store up in a month and have sales going out that second month from the moment we started talking about it. So it can be very quick. And then we've had someone where it's months, where it's such a crucial of a product where it has to go through the right process of getting ready to go.
Very exciting. It sounds like if somebody has an idea, I mean, it's a pretty seamless process that you're describing. 2 months, that's phenomenal. And
Yeah.
so if they're trying to sell something online, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like from our previous conversation, you can kind of help them make it digital and be online and be able to purchase online as well, right?
Absolutely. Actually, it's pretty exciting. We just got on a new partner. It's not completely ready to go, but soon we're going to have integrations in those platforms. So you can actually see on the UI what's in production, where it's going, where it's stored, who's buying it through whatever platform. A lot of people use different ones, Shopify, Amazon, different platforms, and it connects all in there. So we can have a very wide, skyline view of it, if you will, to be able to see the big picture of what's happening in your product. Some people, it's all about their engagement, what they have with their product and brand. Some people are very hands off, and they know what they want, and they know how it needs to be made. And once that's done, they just have their machine to sell it. Other people, they want to know every day what's happening with it, and that's what we want to be able to provide, as well. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, this is really amazing. So we have a lot of sales professionals that listen to this particular podcast, and of course, if you're a business owner, you're a sales professional as well.
Absolutely.
So how do you go out and find your clients? I mean, what's the best way for you to just for those listening in, that maybe you have some insight, maybe they're trying to get their business started, or maybe they're just started working for a company and they're scratching their head on how to find new clients. What are some ways or tips, recommendations that would help them if they wanted to go find new clients?
Sure. Definitely one, before you even go to this, we do this all the time. We take a look back at either our product or our service to make sure that can always be improving it, can always know more about it, because that's going to help you in qualifying these people. So first look at what you're doing, and then go ahead and start out looking for people. Your qualifying process is, I think, probably the most important of the sales pipeline for me, because it's going to make everything more efficient. It's going to make the turnaround so much quicker, and you're not wasting your own time with someone who, everyone's been in the position of starting out in a new sales role, wherever it is, whether it's your new business or another job that you had, or a position at a company of where you're engaging potential new clients, where you're wanting to say yes to everybody, if everyone to say yes to you, but then down the line it doesn't work out. So we have a very kind of, I'm not going to say rigorous, but we want to make sure that we're having conversations with people before we just onboard them and have them waste their time, or ours, as well. So we want to find out at what stage they're at and how best we can help them, and that we can help them. Some people, they aren't quite ready to make that jump for a new business that they're thinking of, or it's a new product idea that we can immediately tell them, hey, your timeline for what you're thinking of isn't quite accurate. And so then they can go, okay, maybe that's not what I want to do. So I think that that's definitely the number one thing I can say is qualify for people. And then it's different for different businesses. Obviously, we now, when that we're engaging more e-com people, find a lot of success in digital ads. because it's very easy to target the people that are looking for that information of how to jumpstart their business or how to migrate it over to a digital space and a digital marketplace.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned qualifying, because especially I'm involved in a B2B environment primarily, and that's so important because you only have so many hours during the day, and you may have people that want to meet with you here or there, and if you don't ask the right questions up front, you might end up wasting some, if not all, of your time meeting with the wrong people. And same way in a digital environment as well. I'm sure having those ads focused on the right people, you could end up spending a lot of money on
Oh
ads.
man, yeah. Well, that's also another big thing I would say is, a great product or service will get sales without any ads. You know what I mean? You should be able to talk to a group that's interested in whatever there is. There's plenty of Facebook groups. There's plenty of meeting groups of whatever might be your thing that you're doing, and you should be able to engage an audience in some way. I think if you have good enough product or service without a lot of ad spend, because whether it is going into meetings in physical offices or putting on a digital campaign, it's like sailing a ship. And if you tilt that ship in a certain direction and it goes and you start going, you won't notice it for a while, and then it costs so much time and effort to turn it, even just a little bit. So spend time making sure you're really pointing in the right direction, and you I think will keep yourself from a lot of heartache and a lot of nerves and finances.
Yeah, it's like what they say, fail to plan to fail kind of thing. You gotta
Yeah.
figure things out up front, figure out who your clients are, figure out who your goals are, what you want to accomplish. And it sounds like a great vehicle to help them accomplish their goals is working with your business. So speaking of qualifying, part of qualifying is making sure there's budget available, right? So what is a typical cost structure to working with your business? I mean, what does that typically look like? And I know it probably varies depending on the idea or the the business that's working with you, but just kind of, do people need to have millions of dollars in the bank if they want to?
Absolutely not.
Yep.
That was one of my number one. To me, I think everyone's got a personal mission, a personal crusade. I think if you're in this kind of space, something is personal to you about what you're doing. And for me, it was very much about providing people a way and the backup and the team to aggressively attack their either dream or next jump in their career, whatever it is. I'm guilty of it. Other people, I'm sure, are guilty of it. You want to sit there and plan and think and build the best, this perfect version in your head of whatever that is. And it'll be a year later before anything happens. And how much money lost and opportunity cost. I think of General Patton, who's like a personal hero of mine. I'm a paraphrase, but it's a mediocre plan aggressively attacked now is better than a perfect plan later. Mm-hmm. And we want to bring in the heat, if you will, for people who kind of are ready to do it and they're worried about how much it's going to cost, how much we're going to do. We're very upfront about whatever that situation is. And it's like a menu of service, if you will. Not everyone's going to need a large warehouse for their product or their business idea or their current business. Not everyone's going to need even us to make the product. Maybe they have a great production pipeline already set up. They love it. They love their supplier and everything like that, but they need help on the other end. Other people who are already doing great in sales but can't keep up, with the fulfillment of it. We want to find out where we can best, kind of deploy our forces to help them, win their campaign of what their business is, whether it's starting out, jumping to the next level, or solving a problem that's going on with their business and they don't know what it is. We also do consulting services as well. We get under the hood, find out what's going on. So as far as cost, it can be, I can take someone with a dream and $1,000 or $2,000, and we can start a business. Sometimes less, depending on what it is. So I always wanted it to be able to offer that super lean, super bootstrap, ready to go option for people. And of course, that's not always available depending on what people want to do as far as what their product or business is. but I always wanted to have that available because that's personal to me, wanting to help people out who have that drive.
And just something I'm thinking right now, just based on what you're describing, is the time element. We talked about how much time qualifying clients can save. And then, of course, if you're already operating a business, you already work for a company, you don't have time to go out and spend the time necessary to run a business. So you need a team to do that. If you want an additional source of income or whatever, or to test an idea that you're, a passion project that you're excited about. And it sounds like having a team like yours would help somebody do that and not tie up a lot of their time. And,
Absolutely. I
yeah.
mean, you can look at someone who's already got a good business. They're already doing sales well. Everything's going good, but how much stress and time that's being taken from that. I like to imagine them of like what it realistically takes someone to add just one or two products to their current well-selling line, whatever that may be, but how long it takes to go through the process of getting that made, make sure it's airtight, seeing what it looks like, testing some of the sales maybe on that, just that huge turnaround time of what that takes. And we want to be able to, in a lot of cases, walk into the factory, see how it's made, actually make sure that it's being made the way you want it to be, and it's not going to be a month from now when you get hands on it and find out that there's some problem, and then another month from now to praying that the shipment's going to be right the way you saw the sample or something like that. We want to be involved in that process to speed up those people as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of value that your company brings from the sounds of it. And if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah. So like I said, our website's actually right down right now because we're integrating that new. I'm really excited about that. That's going to be something we're going to be going into. You're going to be. I won't take up too much of your time talking about that, but you can email us at Stephen Bivens and Partners at gmail.com. Right now, that's where we're taking in new clients right now to have a discussion with them, set up a time to see what's going on with them, how we can help, and what that looks like.
So that's StephenBivens at
and partners.
And partners.
Yeah.
Okay.
At gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
Simple email, and we'll set something up.
There you go. Well, Stephen, I really appreciate you joining on the podcast this morning. It's a wonderful Saturday morning. Hope your weekend goes well. And I have to go to a birthday party myself. My daughter's turned 7 years old, so
congratulations!
Yeah, it'll be a full day for me. I also want to give a shout out to our sponsors, B2B Digital Selling Secrets. If you want a free copy of B2B Digital Selling Secrets, just go to www.b2b, that's the number 2, B2B digitalsellingsecrets.com. Get a free copy of Amazon bestseller, B2B Digital Selling Secrets. Just pay for shipping. And thanks again, Stephen, for joining us. And thanks
for having me.
Absolutely. And thanks for everyone that's been listening. And stay tuned for additional episodes of the Digital Selling Secrets podcast.